Greece was a cultural explosion of leather jackets, slick hair, and sizzling romance. But behind the music and dance numbers hid some pretty bizarre secrets, like Sandy's iconic leather pants, a chilling Elvis Presley connection, cast members who were way older than their roles, and even a tragedy on set. We'll be exploring the weird facts of Greece you never knew. 1. Alright, let's start with something that honestly feels unreal. You remember that dreamy moment when Frenchie gets advice from the teen angel in Beauty School Dropout? That role, believe it or not, was first offered to Elvis Presley himself, the king of rock and roll. Producers thought he'd be perfect, singing those lines with that signature swagger only Elvis had. But he politely declined, already battling health issues that made filming impossible, and the part eventually went to 1950s heartthrob Frankie Avalon. Now, here's the funny part. Avalon almost said no too. He believed the role suited Elvis far more and worried he'd come off as nothing more than a cheap imitation. But he stayed and he nailed it. Still, it's strange to imagine what the film might have looked like with Elvis descending from the clouds singing advice to a beauty school dropout. Either way, Elvis's shadow never left the movie, and as we'll see, it took an even darker turn. 2. And speaking of Elvis, this next one hits a lot harder. It happened in one of the film's most iconic scenes, the slumber party sequence where Rizzo, played by Stockard Channing, mockingly sings, "Look at me, I'm Sandra Dee." She dances beside an Elvis poster, teasingly singing, "Elvis, Elvis, let me be! Keep that pelvis far from me!" The irony of that line became haunting when the crew discovered what happened while they were filming. It was August 16, 1977, the exact day Elvis Presley died at Graceland from heart complications. When the cast wrapped for the day, they were still laughing, unaware. Later that evening, the news spread, and what had been a playful moment suddenly felt like an unintentional farewell. Stockard Channing later described the coincidence as chilling, and director Randall Kleiser admitted the timing felt almost supernatural. No reshoots were done, the scene stayed as it was. So now, next time you watch that Elvis poster, it stares back with a whole new vibe. Weird, right? Fate has a twisted sense of humor. 3. Alright, moving into something strangely funny, but also kinda uncomfortable. Remember when Rizzo bragged about her hickey from Kinnicky while standing in front of the mirror? Most assumed the marks were makeup. But the truth is, they weren't. Stockard Channing revealed that Jeff Conaway, who played Kinnicky, insisted on doing them himself for authenticity. Method acting in the 1970s could get intense, and this was one of those moments where fiction and reality mixed. Channing admitted it gave Rizzo's character a raw, rebellious edge, but it wasn't exactly fun. The marks hurt, and it pushed the performance into a strange, uncomfortable space. Watching it now from this point of insight would make you wonder how many movie props in that era were actually the real thing. 4. You remember that shiny red grease lightning car? It looked cool, right? Well, behind the scenes, it was a mechanical headache. The engine kept stalling, parts rattled off during takes, and the interior was so worn that bits of the seats crumbled every time someone climbed in. The cast joked that the car had stage fright because it behaved worse every time the cameras were actually recording. During rehearsals for the big fantasy version of Grease Lightning, the car stalled so badly they lost almost an hour trying to start it again. The crew patched it together with whatever they had. By the end, the car was running on luck and duct tape. Movie magic at its finest. 5. Here's one people always react to. Before John Travolta stepped in, Winkler was offered the role of Danny Zuko, the ultimate greaser. He turned it down, afraid of being typecast forever as the leather jacket guy. "I don't want to be the leather jacket guy forever," he said later. Years afterward, Winkler would laugh about the decision with a touch of regret. "I went home and had orange juice. Travolta went home and bought a plane." The rejection haunted him for a while, even pushing him into a career slump before he pivoted to producing hits like MacGyver. Meanwhile, Travolta spent a whole year preparing, and the role made him a star. Crazy how one no can change everything. 6. Not every weird story from Greece was fun. During the electric Grease Lightning number, Jeff Conaway fell hard while dancing on the car. The injury wrecked his back, leading to chronic pain and prescriptions for opioids that would tragically spiral into lifelong addiction. By 2011, Conaway was gone at just 60 after battling complications made worse by years of dependency. His family would later say that fall was where it all began. He'd once been deeply in love with Olivia Newton-John, but ended up marrying her sister Rona for 5 years. The two families stayed close, and Olivia mourned him as talented and kind. Fame had come to this movie for all the cast, but for Conaway, it came with a lasting cost. A reminder that movie magic often hides real pain. Before we uncover the next weird but also shocking fact, make sure to like and subscribe to show us your support. 7. Even the director had his own weird moment. When they filmed the Thunder Road Race, director Randall Kleiser shot in the Los Angeles riverbed, which back then was basically a giant trash-filled drainage ditch. Trying to stay cool in the heat, he went barefoot. Bad idea. He stepped on something sharp and sliced his foot open. By nightfall, the wound was infected and swollen. The production nearly halted as crew members started falling ill and the set turned into a minor disaster zone. Travolta, immersed in science at the time, even tried to help using touch assists, though it did little. Kleiser recovered, but the whole experience gave the scene's gritty realism an unexpectedly literal meaning of danger woven into the glamour. 8. Now let's talk about Sandy's transformation scene. The leather pants, the curls, the attitude. But behind that iconic look was pure torture. Those pants were made from vintage 1950s shark skin, a one-of-a-kind find from the costume team. When Olivia tried them on, the zipper broke and there was no fixing it. Each day, she was sewn into them, unable to eat or drink until the scene was done. She once said, "Don't stop believing," that she nearly fainted from tightness, but powered through, all smiles on screen. Decades later, she auctioned that outfit for over $400,000 to fund her cancer institute. The pants alone were sold to Spanx founder Sarah Blakely for $162,000, while the jacket found its way back to Olivia as a gift. What looked effortless on screen had been agony behind it, but that's Hollywood magic for you. 9. And to wrap this up on a lighter note, the T-Birds almost had a name that would have made them a joke. Before they became the T-Birds, they were known as the Burger Palace Boys, a goofy idea gotten from their favorite diner in the stage version. The filmmakers wisely scrapped it for something sleeker, tied to Thunderbird cars and 1950s rebellion. That one creative change turned a forgettable group into one of cinema's most iconic gangs. In the end, Grease was a perfect mix of charm and chaos, innocence and tragedy. Behind the music and laughter were coincidences, painful sacrifices, and moments that blurred the line between luck and fate. Maybe that's why it still shines so brightly, because it wasn't perfect. It was wild, weird, and real in all the ways Hollywood tries to hide. Which fact blew your mind the most? Also, are you Team Danny or Team Kanicki? Let us know in the comments below.